Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. This video is made possible by the very kind donations of viewers like you. Thank you. If you are in a position to help this channel improve quality and grow, please visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below.
It is the 31st century, and mankind is once again at war. The battlefields of the future are dominated by huge robotic war machines known as battlemechs.
Hello, and welcome back to The Arsenal, a series where we look at the weapons, equipment, and technology of the BattleTech universe. Today, we look at a weapon that has changed armored combat forever. A weapon that replaced dozens, if not hundreds, of weapon systems that came before it, but also spawned off a dozen variants and spin-offs of its own. While relegated mostly to medium and heavy mechs, nevertheless, its utility, simplicity, and reliability has made it the standard in projectile-based weapon systems. Today, we look at the Autocannon 5. Almost any mech warrior, combat vehicle crewman, or technician is very familiar with the Autocannon 5. To say the introduction of the AC-5, or as it was known at the time simply as the Autocannon, changed weapons history would be an understatement. To put things into perspective, the first prototype autocannon began to enter service in 2240 with the Terran Alliance. So the weapon not only predates the battle mech, but also predates the Star League, the Terran hegemony, what we know today as dropships, and I could go on. It should speak volumes that for over 800 years, the autocannon has remained in constant production and deployment. We take for granted today the role of the autocannon, but at the time it was a breakthrough in military technology. Prior to the autocannon, militaries relied on a variety of weapon systems to accomplish different tasks. For anti-personnel and point defense, the traditional machine gun. To defeat more hardened targets and low-flying aircraft, the rapid-firing cannon was typically used. Of course, to defeat the heavy armor of main battle tanks, only the rifle cannon would do. Again, the ancient terms can be confusing since cannons could mean several different things, as well as not all main tank guns, now referred to as rifles, included rifling in their barrels. For ease of understanding, we will be referring to fast-firing weapons using explosive shells as cannons, while the larger main tank guns, as their modern term, as rifles, regardless of rifling or smoothbore. Prior to the autocannon, dozens of weapons could be classified into these categories, and while they could in theory be used in multiple roles, they were more or less relegated to what they were designed for. Traditional cannons could be used in several roles, mainly anti-light vehicles and anti-air, but simply lacked the ability to defeat heavily armored targets. The rifle could be very effective at defeating enemy armor, but had very limited ability to engage something like aircraft or foot infantry. The primitive rifle had dozens, if not hundreds, of different models and designs, but could be divided into three basic types: the light, medium, and heavy rifle. Believe it or not, these pre-spaceflight weapons are still in very limited production and deployment even in the 31st century, so we will take a detailed look at some point in the future. But basically, the cannon is loaded with a single round and fired at a target. There was some flexibility in ammunition type: long rod penetrating rounds or sabot rounds for kinetic penetrating power, heat rounds or shape charges for chemical-based penetrating power. Either way, the slow fire rate and limited ammunition supply limited its effectiveness against many targets. The invention of the autocannon was more than a marriage of the two. While improvements were made, most notably the advanced engineering that all but prevented jams and misfires, the real key to the autocannon revolution was the high explosive armor penetrating or heap round. In the early 23rd century, armor technology was advancing quickly, and for the time, traditional rounds were becoming even more hyper-specialized to defeat the more resilient armor. The heap round changed all that, able to penetrate even heavy armor at a fraction of the size and weight. The traditional rifle still had some advantages over the autocannon in those early days, but the mix of rapid fire, armor piercing, and explosive damage meant the new autocannon could be used in almost any role. Anti-armor, air defense, mounted to aircraft to replace older traditional cannon systems. The heap round firing autocannon was even useful in space and first appeared on the Terran Alliance's Saturn-class patrol ship. The Saturn was kind of a proto-dropship, a spacecraft capable of making landfall, carrying cargo or combat units, while mounting weapons to defend itself, sporting quad autocannons in their prototype version. The ship could deliver a reasonable amount of pain in any direction, with about a dozen machine guns for some measure of point defense. The autocannon was rapidly modified to fill different roles, quickly surpassing any limited advantages the older rifle had over the standard autocannon. The light autocannon, or AC-2, we have already discussed. The rifle all but vanished with the introduction of the heavy autocannon, or Autocannon 10. With the super heavy autocannon, or AC-20, packing a major punch even after more advanced systems were introduced. While which mech was the very first to carry the standard autocannon is debatable. What is not debated is its vast deployment today. From the 40-tonners like the Clint to the heavy mechs like the Rifleman, Jaggermech, and Marauder, the AC-5 is an excellent ballistic support weapon. While overshadowed some by its heavy cousins, the modern AC-5 has found its niche as a long-range weapon for light-medium mechs or a support weapon for heavy mechs. Perhaps its most famous role is of its anti-air work. Dedicated anti-air platforms like the Rifleman and Jaggermech invest heavily into their twin AC-5 mounts. The AC-5 is also very effective as a cooldown weapon. Generating just one heat makes it ideal for mechs that can build up their heat quickly with other weapon systems, like the Marauder's dual PPCs, or used during jumping to keep heat manageable, like with the Shadowhawk. Like all autocannons, the term AC-5 is less the description of a particular weapon and more the description of a class of weapons. Some autocannons firing larger, heavier rounds at a slightly slower rate, while others firing a smaller round at a higher rate of fire. Since the weapon size, weight, range, and overall damage potential are very similar, all are lumped into the AC-5 designation. While exact aesthetics will change from manufacturer to manufacturer, the AC-5 weighs 8 tons and takes up 4 critical slots. Let's not beat around the bush. That is a big weapon for the same damage potential as a medium laser. However, the AC-5 has good range. While unwieldy, it ranges 3 or less. Out to 6, the weapon is very accurate, dropping off slightly until you pass range 12. Passing 18, the rounds will just be too inaccurate to be of any real danger. All this range for a single heat. Another advantage of the AC-5. It requires very little power to operate. All you really need is a flat surface and enough electrical power to operate the firing system. The AC-5 can be a favorite of simple ice-powered combat vehicles. While large and heavy, the weapon was unparalleled for its heat and damage to range. Well, for centuries. Not until the introduction of more advanced SLDF weapon systems was the AC-5 really surpassed. Of course, with the disadvantage of cost that technologically advanced equipment brings. The AC-5 is also unlikely to expend its ammunition even in extended battles or multiple small deployments. At 20 bursts per Star League ton in the ammo bin, the weapon can be fired almost without concern for ammo levels in all but the largest engagements. This is one major strength of the AC-5. Holding down the trigger will send a steady stream of pain on a target for 120 seconds straight. 2 full minutes of armor-piercing explosive death, generating very little heat and with virtually no chance of a jam or misfire. Me personally, while I do enjoy the beyond classic of the AC-5, I do tend to choose other weapons. I find myself often wanting to downgrade the AC-5 to an AC-2, especially with mechs like the Marauder. For a small drop in ballistic firepower, you gain a long-range shot plus 2 more heat sinks to help deal with the Marauder's considerable heat load. Similarly, I find myself upgrading to higher damage weapons with the AC-5. For example, the stock Wolverine 6R's Whirlwind autocannon does allow it to move and fire without having to worry much about its heat. In a rare instance for me, I agree with Karita and Merrick. Removing the autocannon and replacing it with a large laser makes the mech much more durable, dependable, and dangerous in my opinion. Though I like the Merrick 6M far more than the 6K. Removing jump jets rarely solves a problem with a mech, even if it does make maintenance easier. Through it all, the AC-5 will continue to be a useful weapon as long as mechs have a need for a weapon with good range, decent firepower, and generates low heat. And while there may come a day that the going on 900-year-old autocannon is replaced by its more high-tech cousins, or completely new technology, something tells me that won't be anytime soon. Even the advanced clans claiming their AC-5 is extinct. A quick look at their Brian caches and second-line units will show that even they still make use of the simple autocannon when needed. From drop ships to combat vehicles, aircraft, weapon emplacements, and of course the battle mech, the Autocannon 5 has seen it all. To drum up a little more respect for the old girl, the AC-5, the standard autocannon, has outlived the Terran Alliance, the Terran Hegemony, the First Star League. It survived 4 secession wars, a clan invasion, as well as witnessed the fall of Clan Smoke Jaguar and the dissolution of the Federated Commonwealth, a second Star League, the birth and fiery destruction of the Word of Blake, the same for the Republic of the Sphere, and apparently now the crowning of an ill clan, and yet another attempt at a Star League. What a resume. Part of me likes to think some of those old Terran Alliance AC-5s are still in use out there, somewhere. Maybe on some backward periphery world. Oh well, I guess we'll never know. In the meantime, what do you think of the Autocannon 5? Do you think it's an essential classic or a useless relic? If you would like to see a weapon or piece of equipment covered, please let me know below. And as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come. Hello, this is Adam with Dream Made Productions. Thank you for watching my content. It really means a lot that you have given me the chance to entertain you. If you would like to support the channel, please visit my Patreon at patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Also below is a link for PayPal, or links if you would like to send crypto, if that's more your thing. Please know any amount that you give will be cherished and use to upgrade equipment and improve the channel. You can also help the channel by subscribing, turning on notifications, liking, commenting, and sharing my channel with anyone you think might be interested. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.